So this morning I got a great opportunity to come out here and meet with Troy, and Troy is putting together a podcast, and the podcast is called
City to Forest, the number 2.
City to Forest, and that's with the number 2. So I'm gonna have to remember that. So he like us in our little journey to get out of the big city and get to a more rural country life is moving in the same direction. So we thought getting together and talking about it, and why are we here? What have we learned? Is it what we thought it would be? Do we like it? Do we hate it? So we're going to record a podcast, but I thought I would shoot the video and kind of capture the conversation at the same time. So that's what we're up to this morning. So Mr. Troy, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. Well, first, I want to say thank you. Thanks for coming out. It's early in the morning. We've got a beautiful backdrop here.
As you know, I don't do early mornings very well.
You look fresh though. You
Fresh,
look good.
yeah, I'm sure. I've looked great.
So yeah, I guess just start off with tell me your name and what you do.
So I'm Josh Pilch, and we mostly do. You can find me on YouTube at Essential Mountain Homesteading, and that's kind of where we've chronicled the journey of getting out of the city and moving to the country.
Cool. So tell me, give me just like a quick rundown, Reader's Digest version of your journey.
So the broad overview. Let's see. This is tough because I guess I've always wanted to get to a more rural lifestyle. I've always felt confined growing up in the city with a sidewalk in front of my house, and felt like there has got to be something better than living in the city with all of the pavement and people and everything else. And so it's been a long time coming in moving to a more rural lifestyle. So I grew up in Utah, and I'm in construction. I'm a home builder, and one of the good things about that is that I can live wherever I want to live, and because there's always somebody close that needs a house. But a couple of years ago, we just decided that it was getting to a point where life, the city, whatever, was at a point where we just decided we got to do something. If not now, it's never going to happen, or kids are going to get older, they're going to get ingrained in school and everything else, and if we don't make the move, we're never going to make the move.
In what city were you living in at the time?
So we were Provo, Utah, and we looked around Utah. We looked all over Utah at land, and there is land, but it's kind of high desert and lots of sagebrush, and so bang for the buck in Utah, we just couldn't find anything that was going to work for us, which was tough. It was small budget and some needing to be relatively close to where we could work, generally speaking. Utah's tough. It's got a lot of state lands and private lands, and the areas that are desirable are kind of all bought up, or you get mountain subdivisions where you get an acre or a half acre in a subdivision that still has a homeowners association and has covenants, codes, and restrictions, and you're like, that's just the same garbage that I had in the city of neighborhood and cookie cutter stuff that we wanted to get away from. So as we looked, it came down to really like kind of either we go east towards somewhere like East Texas or Arkansas or something like that. But growing up out west, families out here, and we wanted to be in the mountains. Like I said, the YouTube channel is Essential Mountain Homesteading, and and the mountain is a big part. I wanted to get to the mountains, not just out of the city. I wanted to get to the mountains. So we looked around, and so going back east Texas, Arkansas, you know, we traveled back there. We looked at all sorts of stuff, and for the price, there's some great options, but it was all flatlands. It didn't have the mountains. So we started looking around and taking trips in northern Idaho, Montana. These were all places that we started visiting and looking. And what we found is the Panhandle in Idaho was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. I probably shouldn't tell. Everybody's going to want to show up.
It's fine. I'll edit this part
If you'll
out.
edit. Don't tell anybody, but the Panhandle of Idaho is totally awesome. So the bang for the buck, the water, the banana belt, the options to hit the lake and go boating, to be on the mountain and go skiing, the severity of the winter, length of the summer. I mean, it had everything that was important to us. And more than that is this place is booming. It's up and coming, and there's a lot of people that want to be here for the same reasons that we want to be here. And so as a home builder, it was a perfect fit. And so that's what ultimately brought us to northern Idaho, and so here we are. It's been for me, it's been a 25-year journey. I mean, I can remember in high school in drafting class drawing pictures of farmhouses and barns as projects, because that's what was on my mind at that time. I think for my wife, maybe not so much, but I think as the kids have come along and some of the issues that we dealt with in the schools, with whether it was social issues or drug problems or, you know, whatever the issues might be that going on, those problems that the kids were having, we said, you know, I think that if we could get to a more rural lifestyle, where there are more like-minded people, that we could get the kids in a better environment, and then share this rural lifestyle with them, where they could learn work ethic and good values and good morals, and give them a fighting chance at having a good quality of life. You know, people are like, well, why do you need 5 acres or 10 acres or 20 acres to be happy? And I'm like, okay, that's a fair question. I don't know that I have a solid answer for that, but my thinking is that it's not so much that I have 5 acres or 10 acres. What I've got is as a parent, I've got a learning institution. I've got a blank canvas where we can paint whatever we want to paint, and if that is put in a garden back here, or build a tree fort over there, or run the tractor over here, that all of those little experiences that I didn't have on a quarter acre or a half acre in the city are those moments that I have with those kids to teach, to build memories, to educate, to even as much as, hey, let's go put gas in the lawnmower, is an opportunity to teach those kids about how equipment works and how to take care of it. And there's all these little tiny lessons. And yes, everybody can mow their own lawn in the city, but there's just something different about a piece of property and maintaining it, and the nature and the animals that are on it and their little ecosystems, and you know, even as recently dealing with mosquitoes and with the kids talking about fish and how fish eat the mosquito larvae, and how we could put fish in the pond, and all of these little lessons and opportunities that we just didn't have in the city is the main reason that we've come to live this rural lifestyle, is to enjoy a better quality of life for myself, and to share and teach and educate my kids. So I was kind of, there was a question back there maybe 50 minutes ago. I'm sorry, I started rambling.
No, that's good. It definitely, what you're saying resonates with me. I think about, people kind of ask why you made the move or what's the big reason. And I think the main reason for me has just been, I want to be the main influence in my kid's life.
Yeah.
And when you're in the city, the suburbs, we lived in Denver, had just a dirt backyard up to a busy street. We could let the kids play out there, but I didn't even feel safe. I'd see cars had hit the fence at other houses and had gone through, and I just worried about that with my kids out there. And I'm like, I don't want the TV, the internet. I don't want all of that. Oh, little hummingbird here visiting us. This is what I want. You're hummingbird pulling up, and just to be the influence, to be the center of their world. So yeah, I definitely feel it. It reminds me of Christopher Robin and the 100-Acre Woods. Just those stories like Winnie the Pooh. And I had a friend in college, and he was probably one of the most creative, interesting people that I've ever known. And his dad worked in Army surplus, and he had this multiple acre property where he stored like Army surplus. So my friend, just like his whole childhood was like playing out in this Army surplus, and I just think it made him more interesting and creative, just because he had this whole playground of. We'd walk through it, and I'm like, "What is this stuff? I don't even know what this is." And I don't think his dad knew. He just, he just bought it. But that's the same kind of thing I want for my kids and myself, to be honest.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because if I had to be honest, I would say that some of this might be a little selfish. I know with our older kids, where they had kind of had more time in the city and were more accustomed to those conveniences of I need something at Walmart, it's 2 minutes to the store and they can get it. They become accustomed to that. Or hey, I can go to 6 different friends' houses because they're within walking distance. That they have struggled to make this adjustment, that you kind of have to schedule a trip to the store once or twice a week, and that you have to schedule getting together with friends and coordinate rides because they don't live close together, and that might not happen as frequently. And so this might be, maybe the kids don't share, or understand why we're here, what the goal or objective is as parents, and the older kids have certainly kind of struggled. But so, to be honest, I think maybe this is a little selfish on my part. That it's more for me. I'm a parent, and I'm gonna be the best parent I can be. But truthfully, it's like, hey, I want to run the chainsaw and work on a project. So, yeah, let's go out and get 10 acres because I'm super excited about having the property and taking care of it and growing a garden and having animals and all of those fun things that you can do with a rural property.
Sure. So tell me I guess tell me a little bit of your path as far as like what you've lived in and where you're at kind of in your transition, because I know you recently acquired some property.
So it's been an evolution. We initially bought some property in eastern Idaho, and we were like, yes, this is great. And after having that property a couple of years and starting to develop it and putting in a well and a septic, and being on that property, what we realized is it was too mountainous. I went too far. So the issue is that we were at like 7,000 feet. That access to schools and hospital and shopping were all hour and a half or 2 hours away. The privacy was awesome. The views were incredible through the summer, but the issue was that through the wintertime it's just too difficult. It's too harsh a lifestyle. And so we're like, okay, we've got to rein this in a bit with kids and looking at we're going to be in the kid business the next 20 plus years. Let's make our lives a little easier. So we started in eastern Idaho, and then said, okay, we need something with softer winters. We need something with closer conveniences, and found that northern Idaho in the Panhandle is going to be a better fit. So we've made some mistakes along the way. It would have been nice if we could have just skipped all of that. But I don't know that we would have what we have now if we wouldn't have gone through that learning process. So that's kind of how we got here. But I think if I back up 10 years ago, in 2004, 5, 6, the economy was awesome. And as a builder and in construction, my phone was ringing off the hook. There was tons to do. We were, building all sorts of houses, making all sorts of money, and just living the dream. And I was kind of young and dumb. Now I'm just old and dumb. Just because I line them up doesn't mean you have to knock them down. That's funny. You well played, sir. So now that I'm old and dumb, at least I have some experience to look back on. And the economy was going great. We're making all sorts of money and things were good. And then it just stopped. The economy tanked. And in short order, I couldn't find a job to even just put on my tool bags and go swing a hammer. There was nothing, absolutely nothing. And I got punched in the mouth. I mean, the business tanked. There was no work. I ended up working out of town a lot. In the end, I spent a year overseas working, and some of that stuff kind of saved my bacon, but the economy tanked, and my eyes were opened with that punch in the mouth that life can change pretty quick. And so in wanting to get to a rural lifestyle also meant creating more security, being more self-sufficient, self-reliant, more prepared, stacking up firewood for a couple of winters, putting away a pantry of food that's got a year's worth of food in it. Because once you've been punched in the mouth and you see that work can really stop and the flow of money can stop, and that if you don't have money in savings, if you don't have some kind of food pantry or something put away, that you're going to get hurt in a bad way. And so luckily at that time I didn't have a whole bunch of kids and a whole lot of mouths to feed, but if that was to happen, that same scenario was to happen now, and I had to be out of town for a year working overseas and miss out on my kids and their lives and what's going on, that'd be devastating, detrimental. So really, getting to a more country life, a rural lifestyle, is more about being in a position to live less expensively and to create a place where I actually could grow a garden. I could produce my own food. I can cut my own firewood. I can provide for my family, even if the world decides that what we know as normal isn't available anymore. So anyhow, that experience of the economy turning and everything I know, going from living the high life to living just struggling to get by, opened my eyes, and that really created the push to get to here. But it's taken time to financially fight back and to find the right place, and we've certainly made a few mistakes, but all of those mistakes have given us an education in what we really want and where we want to be and what we need as a family to get to the life that we want.
Cool. So tell me, kind of paint a picture of your vision for the next few years. Just where you're at, and how. I talk a lot about just living simply, but also being as self-reliant as possible, and that being the end goal. But tell me your kind of vision for the next few years for you and your family.
Well, so I got this conflict, and I think what that is it's my personality is kind of A-type. I like the struggle. I like the challenge. And so, you know, if like tomorrow I could win the lottery, and I didn't have to go out and make the money to build this lifestyle, I would spend every day getting up and developing the property and building systems on that property that would make it so that less and less I don't have to go to Walmart. And so if I could have it my way, I would be building garden systems and developing the pond and watering systems and building shelter and paddocks for animals, so that I can every fall put away a pig, a cow, some chickens, whatever, put those in the freezer, and help bring down what I'm spending at Walmart and create these systems on the property that if the lights go out, if things change in the world, that I'm in much better shape than I was last time the economy turned. But the reality is that I get evenings and weekends and an occasional day off where I can work on moving in that direction. But 40, 50 hours a week, I'm out trying to make money to pay bills, and so those systems, the property is developing very slowly. It's certainly not going as fast as I want it to. So when I talk about what does the future look, it's just working in that direction. It may take me another 10 years to get the property and the house and the barns and the ponds where they're functioning at a level that I want to see them functioning.
Little thing that I can wrap up, and then we can.
Have you got enough, or did you have other questions?
Oh no, I've got plenty for sure.
We're good.
We're good. Still processing.
There's a lot.
That last 43 minutes.
So
talking.
sorry.
No, so
I have a problem. I was blessed with the gift of gab. I'm a little bit chatty. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's perfect. That's perfect.
So, but I'm really passionate about this. This feels like, and I get a little choked up and emotional because I feel like I'm supposed to be here. I feel like this has been a journey that I'm supposed to be on, and I don't know why I'm supposed to be here. But there's a feeling inside that says this is your path, and I can't explain why I'm supposed to be living a rural lifestyle and in this environment, but it fits, it works for me, and I know that I'm supposed to be here. I can't explain why, and it's certainly not the easy path, but this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it feels really good to be sharing it with others. I think anytime you're passionate, even if you're passionate about, 1982 Smurf figures, right? It feels good to talk about it with other people. Hey, I just added this new Smurf to my collection, and I'm so excited about it. It feels really good to maybe that's it. I'm just really passionate about living a rural lifestyle and enjoying this quality of life, which is certainly not easy, but I love it. I love the struggle and the challenge, and I like sharing it with other people. I think that's why the YouTube channel and making videos and sharing the experiences, it's a lot of extra work, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and I would say if we've got people who are still listening and have got this far in the podcast, they probably are feeling that way too, right?
Yeah, they're obviously passionate about it. Anybody who'll stick around for 7 hours and 55 minutes of listening to this joker talk, you're clearly have an interest in rural living.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're put up with this much conversation, you're committed.
So how can the listeners, if they want to follow you, learn more, what can they do?
So you can find us on social media. It's Essential Mountain Homesteading, and you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us at YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. Find us on Pinterest. You can find us on Google Plus.
Any one of those places.
Any
right?
one of those places.
And how often do you put out content videos?
So I'm really passionate about, as far as priority, it's probably number one is YouTube. I love making the videos. I love being able to share the sights, the sounds, the visual stuff. And so I post probably 3 days a week, average, sometimes more, on YouTube.
Okay.
So finding us on YouTube at Essential Mountain Homesteading is probably number one place to look for us. Number two would be Instagram. Instagram is a great place to just kind of get the latest and greatest snapshot picture of where we're at and what we're working on. But you'll find that it's quite a blend, because not only am I developing my own homestead, rural property, whatever we're going to call it, but I'm out there working for other people, building homes and doing the same for other people. And so I kind of share my own stuff, but I'm also sharing a lot of building rural homes for other people and putting in septic systems and running utilities and driveways and talking about land clearing and all of those things, because not only am I doing it for myself, but I'm doing it as a profession for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to get on the YouTube channel, you get our journey, but you're always going to get a lot of my work stuff and what I'm doing for other people.
Got it. Great. Well, thank you. Thanks for making the trek out here, and it's been very informative for me. So I appreciate it.
I'm so sorry I talk your ear right off. I apologize, but like I said, I'm very passionate about it, and thank you for letting me come out and share. It's been great.
Alrighty.
Sorry, man.
Solid. No. That's hey, the more material, like that's the fun of editing, right? I had a 5-minute conversation.
I asked him 2 questions. He talked for 45 minutes.
So,
I showed up with 14 questions. We only got through 2 of them.
That's all good. So do you want to do a video or anything, or is there?
So this thing's been recording the whole time.
Okay.
So why don't I ask you a couple of questions and have
Okay.
you put your mouse back in your pocket?
Okay.
Or keep recording.
Or can I?
No, hold it up there. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
No, yeah, you're gonna want to record that. Sorry.
Okay.
I just don't feel like you have to. You don't have to put that away.
I won't. I'm hitting record again.
Okay.
Starting anew.
So let me ask you some of the questions that you asked me. Why is it that you had such a desire to come and live a more rural lifestyle?
Yeah, that's
Where did it start?
I mean, it's definitely just been something that's been built over the years. I remember camping as a kid with the family. We'd go up into the mountains in Utah. I grew up in Utah, and just some of the best memories I have from childhood are going up to Brownie Lake and China Meadows and all these beautiful places, spending time with the family. Somehow the food, I mean, my dad would cook in a Dutch oven, somehow, even if the dust that he's yelling at me, stop kicking up the dust.
Stop kicking the dust in the food.
It's like the food still tasted better, It was
that's part of the seasoning.
Yeah, so just that love for the mountains, I love being connected with my neighbors, and I feel like even though I have fewer neighbors, I'm just so much more connected with them here. But I would say that's maybe, so that's not getting to your question. Your question was more, what was your question?
My question is why did you feel such a strong desire
to
live a rural lifestyle?
Yeah, I think just the desire to live simply. And, the 3 things that keep coming up in my mind, a couple of years back, it was 2011, I realized that my needs were just not being met, right? Specifically, I made two choices in 2011. I deleted my personal social media account, specifically Facebook, and I downgraded my phone. I had a nicest mobile phone, nicest iPhone.
So I've been wanting to ask you that. I wanted to tease you and give you a hard time about it because you're always on the flip phone. I'm like, I didn't even know they still made flip phones. But I wanted to ask you that question, so I'm glad you brought that up. Speak to that. Why getting away from that technology, which clearly we both
Yeah.
work in, deal in. I mean,
Yeah, and my background is, my career is digital marketing, so I, do a lot of online.
yeah.
They're all tools to me to use. But I think with social media, it came down to in 2010, my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Was very very sick. Went through a lot of struggles. I mean, miraculously, he's still alive today after a lot of struggle. But he he was going through this, and for me it was like, as far as like amplitude of emotion, this was probably the most difficult time in my life, as far as like highs and lows, and just being devastated. And I just remember going and posting things on social media, just how I was feeling, how hard it was. And initially people were really encouraging, but it got to the point in a very short amount of time where I would post something about how I was feeling or how my dad was doing, and no one would, you can't like that. People stopped responding, right?
Yeah, it was just kind of tough, because you share a sad time in your life, and there's not really a don't like button,
right?
or hey,
I support you.
Here's a click a button for an emotional hug or something,
right.
Something like, hey, I'm sorry that's happening, but I want to support you. I care about what you're dealing with.
And it just became very clear to me that this was not true connection. And although I love these people, I had shared a lot of experiences with them. That's not the purpose of social media. It's a place where you can, keep this kind of fake connection with everyone, because everyone's posting their fake lives and you're posting your fake lives.
Yeah.
And it just became like a parody. And I apologize if anybody's listening to this on Facebook right now. I have nothing. I have nothing against it. It's just it wasn't.
But it's the reality.
Right for me.
It is the reality that there's not a true connection there. It's a little bit. I'd say it's fake, because you can edit what you put up. It's not real, and there's not a real connection. It's not like you and I standing here. I have this memory of the environment and the time and what we talked about, and it's so much different to interact face to face with somebody than see a picture of their vacation and click the like button.
Right. And here's the real kicker, because I mean, people go and delete their social medias, all the time, and they just get on, upset, and they go clear it out or whatever. What I noticed though is when I did it, my main takeaway afterwards was nobody knew I was gone. Like, I disappeared completely from Facebook, and nobody even recognized it. And I'm like, that's, for me, it confirmed, it's like, this is not a place I want to be if I disappear and nobody knows I'm gone.
So that hits home with me, because when I started down this path a few years ago, I moved away from Facebook. Not necessarily intentionally, just because where we were out and living this rural lifestyle, we just didn't have the cell service where I could just jump on and check all the time. And as you said that, I was thinking about my Facebook account, and I'm like, nobody's really reached out. Nobody even knew that I was gone. And that, I'm like, you know what? He's right. Nobody has. Hey, where are you? What's going on? What's going on in your life?
Right.
Nothing. Hey, I got 1,058 friends, and not a single one of those jokers has been like, hey, you haven't posted in for a while. What's going on? I'm concerned about you and your life. Yeah. So, I guess sadly that's true.
Yeah, and the reality is, the more I've really understood and learned about social media, really almost anything online, is, they're built on algorithms. They're built on these super smart computers that learn about you, that learn your reactions. I mean, there's been in the news in the last couple of years how even what you start to type, if you're chatting with somebody, you're going to post something on Facebook, what you start to type but then don't post, they still track that, because they want to know why you didn't post, and they want to understand that so they can get you more engaged. And the whole premise is these algorithms and everything about them, they're designed to keep you there. They know that if somebody gets on Facebook for the first time and they post something and a lot of people like it, you feel like, oh, I have a following, I need to keep engaged, I need to keep posting this. So they know that, and the whole algorithm is built so that everyone is spending more and more and more time there. And these computers are smarter than you. They can do calculations way faster than you. And I came to realize that, what I love is where my attention is at. And even though I love these people, I'm very, I can't remember how many hundreds of friends when I closed my account, but that it wasn't an expression of love. It wasn't true connection. And so leaving that, yeah, I miss, seeing what my friends are doing, seeing how the kids, but it has been just so freeing, right? So it's just allowed me to have genuine, real connections. And downgrading the phone, I still remember when I had a BlackBerry back in the day, and I would come to a stoplight, and I'm reaching for my phone to look at my email, and at that time I'd mainly get work emails, and I'm like, why am I doing this? And I remember when I worked in Denver, I would get up in the morning, and one of the first things I would do was check my email to see what had come in. Now, I'd probably say like one time a month, right, there's going to be an email either from a coworker or from a client or something that just upset me, right? It made me mad at them, it made me mad at the situation, it made me worry, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I get up in the morning and I've got this time where I can do whatever I want. I can read scripture, I can write in my journal, I can do all these things, I can frame my day, I can do affirmations or whatever.
Yeah.
But here I am, first thing, looking at my email, and only one time out of the month, there's going to be this email that upsets me, but that is going to ruin my whole day, because it gets me dysregulated, I'm going to be upset, and it ruins my day, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't need to deal with this right now. I can wait. And so I started this ritual of I wouldn't look at any emails, wouldn't even open my computer until I got to work, sat down, and then opened, and then I could deal with it, Yeah. So people just get so used to that little lottery machine of, okay, who's texting me, who's posting me, who's, always looking at it. It's a lottery machine. Sometimes.
It's sad but true. I've got a friend, and I tease him all the time because the dude never has his phone on. Like, I know that if I need to get a hold of him, I might have to wait 3 days, and it frustrates the heck out of me. But I realize that the guy's not a slave to his phone, and yes, it creates a convenience for him when he needs it. But where does it say that he has to create that convenience for everybody else who wants to get a hold of him and grab his time? But I guess maybe that's what this is. Some of what I like about the rural lifestyle is that because I don't have the same cell service, that there's these long periods of time where I'm just not on the phone, and that's kind of nice to just be in my own head and not checking my phone and being a slave to that thing. That it keeps my mind clear and gives me focus on other things. So I guess I tease you about the flip phone, but I when you say it like that, you're like, oh my gosh, you're right. That is just that phone is just a digital leash that I'm on. I think it's giving me freedom, but really it's taking my freedom from me.
Yeah, for sure.
So that,
and I will say that both of us hope to, grow our following and be able to make a living off of this and sharing these thoughts, and we're going to do it on social media, right?
Yeah, that's
City
a funny
DeForest
thing.
is going to have a social media Facebook page.
Yeah.
But
which is a funny thing, I guess, when you're in it and you're creating content and you're building content for a following so you can share life's experiences and what you're learning, but it kind of opens your eyes to this other side of what are people engaging with, what do they want to see on Facebook, what keeps them coming back, what creates the positive feedback and commentary on the information that you're putting out there. Because I want to create content and share experiences on social media that people want to engage with. So I'm thinking about that all the time. I want to give value to people that are watching me, and the only indication I have of what has value to people is what they engage in or comment on or like or whatever. And so I'm aware of that, probably more so than other people that are just entertaining themselves on Facebook.
And I'll say I mentioned 3 things. So getting off Facebook, downgrading the phone to a flip phone.
Yeah.
The third thing I think surprises people the most, but it's been one of the most, I would say, kind of life-changing or conscious-changing things that I've done. But I stopped listening to music when I drive. I literally drive every day in silence, just in my car with my thoughts, and it's beautiful. Like, just turning off that noise and reducing it has helped me so much. And I get to the point, like, if I got in the car and turned on the sound, it like bugs me. It's almost irritating. I turn it off. But I live in a beautiful place. My drive to work is just breathtaking.
Yeah.
So I can just enjoy that, have my thoughts to myself, and I don't need this like constant sound. But that's been one of the biggest, most surprising changes that I made. That I don't think I could go back. Now when I'm in the car with my kids and my family and we're traveling, sure, I'll put on music. Yeah. Just so I don't have to listen to them whine and stuff. But yeah, when I'm by myself in my car, I turn it off. I don't really listen to anything down. And
so speak to that, because that is exactly what I want. I want my kids to be sharing that same story with people 20 years from now.
Yeah.
So speak to that experience of the family and the property, and you went to mountains. Where was that, and what was that experience?
Yeah, so I remember when we bought the property, gosh, I can't remember exactly how old I was. I mean, I was probably like 9 or 10. Bought an acre and a third of property, and we just started clearing sagebrush on it. Like you said, Utah's got a lot of sagebrush. A lot of memories pulling up and burning sagebrush.
Clearing sagebrush.
Yeah, clearing sagebrush. So then, just my dad designing the cabin that we wanted to build. We parked the trailer on it. We built a little fire pit. There was just tons of places to play. Walk down the street, there was a creek that me and my sister would go play in. Just learning and being able to see my dad build was remarkable. It like freed my mind to be like, oh man, I can build anything. I can build a house. I can build an outhouse. We had an outhouse for the first quite a few years.
And that's what I so desperately want for my kids, is to feel empowered. Mm-hmm. to say, hey, I can grow food. I can build a house. I can take on big projects and accomplish them. That is exactly what I want for my kids. I know that's possible, but it's great to hear you say that was your experience.
Yeah, and the funny thing was, like, going on vacation for us, or going up to our property, our cabin, it was harder work than
it was not a vacation.
I mean, at home, we like ride our bikes, watch TV and cartoons every day, and it's like, yeah, we're going on vacation. But the amazing thing is, it didn't feel like work. I mean, sometimes, yeah, for sure it did. When you've got a lot of logs to, trim down, and I still remember taking the skin off the logs and letting them dry out, and a lot of hard work, but it didn't necessarily feel like work, just because you accomplished something, just like at
the end of the day, there was something to show.
The kids who work so hard, and then they build this tree house or something like that, build it, and then it's done, and they're like, oh, now what do we do? We just go sit in the tree house? No, they want to go build. It's the adventure of building that. It's not incredible. It's
not the destination, it's the journey.
Right.
So that's your part of your motivation is hoping to share that same experience with your kids.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what I want for, selfishly for myself, because I love the building too. I want the journey as well, but what I really want is the kids to have those memories, and more than anything, the self-confidence, the knowledge, those things to be healthy, happy adults that can be positive members of society in whatever endeavors they want to take on.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think maybe my motivation is a bit from a parenting standpoint. Is this we're not building a homestead. We're building a learning institution. we bought 10 acres, and that's the classroom. And
yeah.
I don't know what the lessons are going to be or the curriculum, but we're going to do all sorts of neat projects and different things and work on the property.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's interesting. One thing that hit me is that's one thing that we looked at is let's just stay in the city. We can live here, we can work here, and we'll go buy a little cabin. The problem is in Utah is that little piece of property is very expensive. Mm-hmm. In this day and age, it's cost prohibitive.
Sure.
And so I remember as a kid, my dad bought some property up. We were in Provo, Utah, and he bought some property in a place called South Fork. It was about 45 minutes away from the house. And we would go up there on the weekends and work on the deck and ride the four-wheelers, and those were great times. Those were good times, and I think that's where I really started to have a love and appreciation for being outdoors and being in the mountains and seeing the wildlife. And I'm like, I want that same thing for my kids. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that financially I can afford to have a house in the city and then go buy or build a cabin. And so I wanted to live in the mountains. I want to be there all the time. I want to be able to open the door in the morning and hear the birds and see the deer walk through the backyard and be able to share that with the kids.
Yeah, we're very blessed.
I'm with you.
And I would say, what was the big change, or what allowed us to move up here was we've got 4 kids. All of them are adopted, and we adopted the last 2. And that freed us up because when they were foster kids, it literally took like an act or approval by the judge to even leave the state or go anywhere to visit family or anything. So once they were adopted, they were ours.
And you could go wherever you want.
We could go wherever we want. We were renting in Colorado. We'd rented there for over 5 years, and I totaled up how much rent we had spent. It was over $85,000 in rent over 5 years. But it's just we knew we couldn't afford what we wanted in the Denver area. Cost of living had gone up, the cost of housing had gone up. We couldn't stay there and have a house and own a house, which is was our dream again. So, and then for me to be able to, at the time I was consulting, working with individual companies that were all over the U.S. So I could get up anywhere I had an internet connection. I could work. So it's like, wow, kids are adopted. I'm flexible with work. I've got enough clients right now that we can live. We could live just about anywhere we wanted. Maybe not like Malibu, California, or something, where the cost of living is super high.
But almost.
And a couple of our friends, in fact, I'd say my wife's 2 best friends, while we were in Denver, had both moved, and they both ended up, in this area.
Yeah.
And they kept, hey, you got to come up, and we came up and visited, and it just felt right. But I would say in my life, I've definitely felt guided and directed about where I should be. Personally, for me, it's God and praying and getting the answer. But it was interesting at this time because when I prayed about it, I didn't get an answer, but I felt it was more like, you get to choose. Like, this is your choice. I'm going to guide and direct you, but you still get to choose. And I'm sorry, it's kind of like making me verklempt or whatever you want to call it, but just to be able to pray and to feel that draw be my choice. And I'm like, yeah, I want to have, all that experience as a child. If my kids could have that every day, like, what a dream, right?
Yeah.
And to have a skill set and to have a career path that allows me to do that, I just feel so blessed. So it makes me, every day want to wake up and work hard. But it's been difficult. There's been a lot of challenges. We definitely feel guided all along the path.
Yeah.
So
you've made the move from the city to forest. Mm-hmm. And here,
.com.
Find us on Facebook.
You can find us on Facebook. Like us and read all our tweets every day.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, you're here. You made it. Your suitcase has just hit the dirt. You made it. What's the future looking like for you? What is it? What are your goals and dreams? And you've got great property and a great location. You've got this canvas. What is it that you're going to start painting?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's why I would say I'm excited about this podcast and the website is just kind of documenting, and I feel like like a noob, somebody who's new at this, who's coming into it. So I really want to lean on other people to learn, because I go out, I'm like, I want to build a garden. I'm like, man, I don't even know what plants here. I know I've got a shorter growing season. I don't know what's going to grow well, what's going to store well. So it's been an adventure just in learning and getting to know people. I've got a good friend now who does ag products, and his family has just thousands of acres just north of here. So I've been picking his brain constantly about what to grow and what does well, what this soil's good at.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I want to be as self-sufficient as possible. And for me, that probably starts with the garden, with growing food, with putting food away, learning how to do that, and learning what I can grow, how much I need to grow. I'd say our short term is garden. Eventually would love to go, like you said, kind of not really off grid, but diversify all your resources.
Backup systems in
Right.
place. Redundant systems is the catchphrase that I use
Yeah.
with homeowners all the time when we're building houses. Is let's back that up, and then let's back it up again. So
Yeah, because we rented a house not too far from here for our first kind of year here, and I still remember in the winter a big storm came in, knocked out the power, and then, the power goes out, and I'm like, we're on a well.
how do we get water?
How do we get water now? I've got one flush in both toilets.
And then we're out.
And then we're out. So it's funny, I went and got all the jugs once the power came back on, thankfully. Filled up all the water jugs. So one of our bathrooms had like six gallon jugs of water in it for the rest of winter.
Just in case.
Just in case.
So I think you're a lot, we're a lot alike in that we're trying to learn as much as we can here. I think that's the thing for people that may be thinking about moving in this direction and may not feel like they have the right skill set, or they don't know enough about, hey, running a chainsaw is too scary. Whatever it is, I think what you have to understand, or what surprised me, is when I got here, there's so many like-minded people. Like, people that are here for a reason, and most people are like-minded and they want to live a rural lifestyle. And some have been here 40 years, and some here have been here 10 years, and some have been here 1 year. But they're all great people that have a sense of community and want to share. And so to be able to reach out and ask a question from people, I mean, there's 40 people that I could take a problem to and say, what works best for you, or how did you solve this problem on your property, or what did you do here? And you're going to get 5 or 6 different solutions to that problem. So don't feel like you have to know everything in order to move to the country. That's part of the fun, is when you get here, you're going to learn all sorts of great stuff.
Yeah.
And when you look back in 20 years, you're like, holy cow, I was an idiot. But look now, it doesn't matter what problem comes along, whether it's mosquitoes or a bug problem in the garden, or I've got to deal with ticks or whatever. I've got 5 solutions for all of those problems, whatever they may be. That's part of the fun.
Yeah.
But there's certainly people here to help, to ask questions. We talk about the Facebook, but we've got some local Facebook groups, and they post all the time, and they share, and they ask questions, and it has been awesome to be a part of that Facebook group. And people will be like, hey, last night that somebody posted that their dog had a bunch of ticks in its foot, and it's kind of tick season. And I read through all the comments, and it was unbelievable, some of the remedies and issues and how different people deal with ticks in the spring. And so, yes, Facebook, there's some goods to Facebook. It's not all bad.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But it's interesting that there's that sense of community and neighbors and friends here to help you out. So if it feels intimidating or overwhelming, don't worry about it. There's plenty of help.
Right.
When you get here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I heard someone say, I can't remember, so many people die from the neck up after 24, right? They give up on learning.
Yeah.
And this forces you to oh, I need to learn how to do this. Okay, my power just went out. That means,
What do I do?
what am I going to do? I need to plow. I'm realizing all the runoff from the rain and the snow and everything is creating this problem. You know, I need to deal with it. So
Yeah.
I guess it's just, you know, your attitude about it. I just try and be grateful every day.
Yes, and understand, hey, maybe that's some of the fun that I didn't have that intellectual stimulation in the city that I get here. Like, I don't have a choice. I got a problem and I got to find a solution today. And it forces me to read, to learn, to study, to get online, whatever, to come up with those solutions. So maybe that's it, is the mental stimulation of constant learning that's required here is part of what I like about being here.
It's so fascinating. Like, I just think of my neighbor, like right down the hill here. He's got 3 pigs in a pen, and he put this pen intentionally over down over there. He put this pen intentionally over a big tree stump because he said the pigs would eat it. And sure enough, like within a day or two, the stump was gone. The pigs in the pen ate the stump.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
you're like, whoa!
What? And he's going to just move it around, and the pigs are going to
keep eating the stumps.
Eating the stumps. What a natural stump removal.
Hey, that's...
And then in the spring, or in the fall, you know, you slaughter the pig, and you've got great bacon.
Turned my stumps into bacon.
Literally like applewood bacon.
Applewood bacon.
Or pine, I guess.
Jack pine bacon.
Yeah.
So those are those little tricks. You know, somebody figured it out somewhere, and there's all that cool stuff to learn. I don't know. I absolutely love it, and I want to share that with the kids.
Yeah.
And I think that I couldn't offer that to them in the city, even if I tried.
Sure.
So, that sounds like a good game plan. Good place to start. good plan. You know, I've got issues with clearing land, so that's my big thing, is pulling stumps and clearing a place for a house.
Do you have any pigs?
I don't have any pigs, but I'm about to.
Nice.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here.